Today's episode covers a recent SEC filing following the Q1 earnings call, a look at a case of serious user error, and how non-refreshed Model S owners can get the new look. Here are your Tesla tidbits for May 11th, 2016. A recent SEC filing reveals why Tesla believes it can reach 500,000 vehicles per year in 2018. Electrek brings us this interesting news from this SEC filing and shows the following as the key assumptions they are making to arrive at that 500,000 vehicle per year amount. The first, they're able to develop, build, and equip a new dedicated final assembly line for high volume production of the Model 3 at the Tesla factory on budget on time. That the Gigafactory is spun up in a timely manner to produce high volumes of cells and packing those cells into finished battery packs for the Model 3 on budget. That the equipment which is installed for Model 3 production will be able to accurately manufacture high volumes of Model 3 vehicles within specified design tolerances and with high quality. That they'll also be able to engage suppliers for the necessary components on terms and conditions that are acceptable to Tesla, and that they'll be able to obtain components on a timely basis and in the necessary quantities to support that production. That they'll be able to complete the design and engineering plans for Model 3 and deliver the final component designs to the suppliers on time. And lastly, that they'll be able to attract, recruit, hire, and train skilled employees, including employees on the production line, to operate the planned high-volume Model 3 production facilities at both the Tesla factory and the Gigafactory. Of the things said there, I think 4 and 6 are the most troubling of the bunch. I realize that the car is not yet component final, but making the assumption that they'll be able to reach favorable terms for components they've not yet bid out is a fairly big leap. In addition, the number of new skilled worker bees that are needed to staff the Fremont and Gigafactory lines for these parts is not trivial, and they still also have to replace the upper management that left the manufacturing division recently as well. Here's hoping it gets done as expected. Electrek brings us a story of Utah man that claims that his Model S started itself, promptly ate the back end of a large truck, and he is completely surprised by this. Jared Overton says he was talking with a man who saw his car and was asking questions for about 20 seconds to a minute before walking inside to continue the conversation. They came back 5 minutes later to see that the car was now under the truck's trailer, smashing the windshield. After reporting the issue to Tesla, a week later he received a letter in return with the following statement, quote, Tesla has reviewed the vehicle logs, which show the incident occurred as a result of the driver not being properly attentive to the vehicle's surroundings while using the summon feature or maintaining responsibility for safely controlling the vehicle at all times, which was then signed by a regional service manager. The letter said that the summon feature was, quote, initiated by a double press of the gear selector stalk button, shifted from drive to park, and requesting summon activation, end quote. Overton disputes this, considering that the conversation he had with the other man who noticed his car. Quote from Overton, even during that 15 to 20 second walk right here, we would have easily heard the impact of the vehicle into the back of the trailer. They can tell me what they want to tell me with the logs, but it doesn't change what we know happened here, end quote. But the story wasn't over. The Verge, later in the day, reports more on the letter sent to Mr. Pants on Fire that he either left out of the story conveniently to Electrek or legitimately didn't understand. The logs of the car didn't show at all what the man claims. The following was what the car reported. First, summon was initiated by double pressing the gear select stalk button. Second, the driver shifted the car from drive to park and requested summon activation. Third, the driver was alerted of the activation by an audible chime and a pop-up on the center display. The driver could then have canceled this by pressing the cancel button on the display, but it was not clicked. In the next second, the brake was released, and 2 seconds following, the driver exited the vehicle. 3 seconds after that, the door was closed. 3 seconds after that, summon was activated. 5 minutes, 16 seconds after summon was activated, the driver's front door was open again. They go on to reiterate that the vehicle's behavior was the result of user error, note the multiple opportunities that were available to cancel the feature. Can we just stop for a moment and appreciate the detail of that log? I am a geek by trade, and I go through logs, and that's pretty impressive that they are keeping logs down to us opening and closing the door of the car. I think we know what's happened here. Clean Technica reports that a company called Karstyle, that's with a K, will update your old Model S to the latest and greatest look. While you don't pick up the LED headlights from the refresh, you do get that nose bubble removed and replaced with the gorgeous new front end. But it's a pricey facelift at $3,500. If you recently took delivery of your Model S just before the refresh and you're bummed that you don't have that new look, this is a viable solution for you. We take one last stop at Electrek to visit the comedy department, where Hyundai said its plug-in hybrids are just a stopgap for hydrogen fuel cell cars. Despite being on average 3 times less efficient than a battery-powered vehicle, Hyundai CEO Dave Zukowski was quoted during the announcement of its new plug-in hybrids as saying they were an intermediate step before hydrogen fuel cell vehicles take hold in the coming decades. Links to all the full stories from today's episode can be found in the description of the show. A bit of housekeeping here. While the show is always available at soundcloud.com/TeslaTidbits, I fully understand that everyone has their podcatcher of choice. Personally, it's Pocket Casts for me. The show has been submitted to all the major podcast services and has been accepted. However, the show only seems to be Stitcher is the only one that seems to have the show live. But hopefully Pocket Casts, TuneIn, Google, and Apple won't be too far behind. The show can also be found on YouTube, but again, no vanity URL yet, so I'm not going to bother with giving you some random junk that will be hard to find. Simply search for Tesla Tidbits on YouTube, and it will be the first result. Hopefully that will come soon as well. If you like what you hear every day, please consider supporting the podcast at patreon.com/TeslaTidbits. If you have no money to toss me, that's not a big deal. A free way to help support the podcast is simply to listen to the YouTube links. That's all for today. Hope to see you back here again tomorrow. Until then, charge it up and hit the road.